flawless victory.
To keep doing daily videos on YouTube, I need to raise my Patreon and Subscribe Star income to a grand total of $200 a month. So if you're so inclined, help a chap out. Zang. Really? Okay, I suppose. Well, let's get into some more gaming type drama, shall we? Because that's always fun. Not like there aren't bigger things to worry about. Daniel Fox, you may have heard him mentioned on the channel before. He's one of these righteous... I don't think he's genuinely woke. I think he just uses it as a marketing ploy of some kind, but he seems to feel free and empowered to harass anyone that even mildly disagrees with him, often, ironically, by accusing them of harassment. Now, he set the RPG Pundit in his sights this time, and seems to be up to some shenanigans and to be lying about him. There are things the Pundit does, there are things the Pundit says that I don't agree with, but I know him outside of his internet persona now, and he's a perfectly normal, nice chap by and large, albeit that we disagree on a lot of political and social issues, yeah.
Then look, Zephyr's just this guy, you know?
So in short, he ain't the villain he's painted to be, and he revels in being painted as the villain, and it helps his brand and his image to paint him as the villain. So going after him like this pretty much only really helps him. But now Fox and someone else who may well also be Fox, ironically enough, trying to add pressure to DriveThruRPG, at least to drop his products, which was bound to happen once they started censoring people and giving way to the mob in the way that they have been. So what's he up to? Well, that hashtag to start with. There's a petition started by a guy apparently called Paul Renard, but it's a very new account with a string of troll numbers on the end of it, and given that Daniel Fox has given money to it, I wouldn't be surprised if it's another sock puppet of his. You see, Fox has a history of creating sock puppets, particularly on the RPG site, where he was actually found out with evidence, but he also tends to accuse other people of doing it. So the latest harassment claim is that Pundit is going to Fox's Instagram and spamming messages over it, comparing the recent troubles that Adam Coble had with his robo-rape scenario, and the X card to, you know, what was she wearing, sort of thing. Now, this is a comment Pundit made. It does underline the hypocrisy of these people. I don't think that what Adam Coble did was really bad. There were plenty of escape hatches, ways out, opportunities to call it off or fade to black that weren't taken. It's just a miscommunication, but it's been blown out of all proportion. Pundit is less forgiving than me.
Do you expect mercy here?
Fox isn't a particularly ethical guy, and I have my suspicions about things that he's done, but I couldn't prove them. Pundit has suggested that he may have gamed the metal system on DriveThruRPG. If you sell a certain number, you get a different grading, like the sort of gold and jewels and treasure in D&D. So copper seller, silver seller, gold seller, and so on. And Fox, racked up sales and stuff suspiciously quickly. His game is really just a rip-off of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and given the existence of the new edition, which is very, very good, there's really no reason for Fox's game Zweihander to exist, and yet the advertising for it seems to be ubiquitous. He's utterly shameless. I'm bad at selling myself. I know it's a weakness. I find it gauche to do, and I find the way Pundit and Venger go about self-promotion to be gauche. That's why I always make a joke of it, but Fox makes them look like shrinking violets comparatively. It's like everything for him is about publicity and the right image, and there's nothing genuine seeming about the guy at all. He's done an OSR style clone of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It's entirely redundant. It's unnecessary, quite frankly. He's very big for his boots, considering. Talking about someone, disagreeing with them, finding their way of going about things repugnant, and talking about it, none of this is harassment. This is disagreement. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's not harassment. I don't think any of us like Fox, primarily because he's come after us, and the way that he handles himself, the things that he does, the way that he markets himself, his shamelessness, his buying into the whole woke angry mob and attempts to direct it, and so on. We don't harass him. We have a very poor opinion of him, and this certainly isn't changing that. I'd be willing to talk with the guy, but he's not interested. Of course, in the process of making this complaint, he has to dredge up everything else, whether it has any grounds to it or not, and suggest that they're also being harassed. Being a white cisgender male, Fox, can't elicit too much sympathy from the woke skull wave and wing of the internet, so he has to drag Swordsfall into it as well. Swordsfall is another harasser, shameless promoter, race baiter. Look, people can be assholes and they can do bad things regardless of what colour they are, regardless of what gender they are, regardless whose genitals and in which configuration they like to rub together. Humanity is full of assholes of every colour of the spectrum. Swordsfall is an asshole. Daniel Fox is an asshole. From your point of view, I might be an asshole, or Pundit might be an asshole, or Avenger might be an asshole, or any of our supporters of whatever gender, sexuality, colour, stripe, or whatever, right? People are cunts, and there's really no getting around that. But to cry racist or sexist or homophobe or whatever just because the cunt that you happen to be taking issue with is of that minority protected status, that just undermines everything that everyone has fought for. Everything. Then there's this Paul Renard fellow. Is it a real person? Is it a sock puppet? Dunno. It's engaged in weird, shifty behaviour, certainly. I think someone was noting the other week that this Paul Renard fellow seemed to be blocking and unblocking them constantly, like they were snooping around for something in people's timelines, and lo and behold, here we go. So I'm not going to risk saying it is a sock puppet. There might be a real person behind it, but looking at that Twitter name and the fact that it's a very fresh new account that only seems to exist to go after Pundit, it rather whiffs of shenanigans, and it whiffs of stuff that Daniel Fox has done in the past. And they're trying to start a petition to get Pundit kicked off DriveThruRPG. They have a grand total of, I think, 78 signatories at this point, so I probably shouldn't be giving it the oxygen of publicity, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think you shouldn't worry about this, given that DriveThru has given into the mob on more than one occasion on this point over nothing. But just the accusations against Pundit are bullshit. Utter bullshit, and they're hypocritical coming from the people that they happen to be coming from. Accusations of bigotry when they're engaged in bigotry. Accusations of harassment. What the fuck is this then? It's just nonsense. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And it's just a whole pointless foo-for-ah about nothing. If you don't like Pundit and the things that he has to say, and the things he takes issue with, it's the usual answer. Don't consume what he says. Don't look at what he says. Block or mute him or whatever else. Or engage with him. Or engage with someone more forgiving and open, like me. But campaigning to get people banned with dodgy Twitter accounts, it's not a great look. And it's not something that me or Pundit or Venger or anyone else, I guess, on our side of the artistic side of the free speech conversation, it's not something that we've ever advocated or ever would advocate. I think some of the others might, if people were involved or implied to be involved in some particularly nasty criminal enterprises, but otherwise Look, we're happy for you to churn out your shit. You should be happy for us to churn out our shit. And that should be an end to it, really. Nobody on our side is genuinely gatekeeping, trying to throw people out of the hobby or undermine their business. That's all on you. It's all a fuss about nothing. Really, I mean, what more can I say about it? It's unlikely to go anywhere, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. This Paul Renard account is suspicious. Fox is a shameless self-promoter, bit of a wanker, in my subjective, humble, personal opinion. And his game doesn't deserve the plaudits or the attention it gets, and it's suspicious that it has. I'm not actually accusing anything towards him, just it seems dodgy. And his whole brand seems to be built on attacking people and doing anything for publicity. That's not a good look. I disagree with the Pundit. It's healthy to disagree with people and have debates and arguments and so forth, but this isn't that. Zang.
Do you like t-shirts?
Yeah, boy!
Do you like games?
Certainly.
Are you perhaps a little bit kinky?
Yes, quite.
Then buy one of our B&D t-shirts at Teespring. Teespring.com/stores/postmortem-studios. You want to be cool, don't you?
Does the word duh mean anything to you?